Let me ask you this. How many times have you replayed someone's disrespect in your mind, searching for answers, wondering what you could have done differently? It's exhausting, isn't it? That feeling of betrayal, of being undervalued, it lingers, pulling you into a cycle of overthinking and self-doubt. But today, I want you to hear this loud and clear. That disrespect should be your closure. You don't need a heartfelt apology, a long-winded explanation, or a moment of recognition from them to move on. Their actions, the way they treated you, are all the closure you need. Think about it. When someone disrespects you, they're showing you exactly who they are. It's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their character, and yet so often we stay stuck waiting for something that will never come. A change of heart, a moment of accountability, or even just a shred of remorse. But here's the truth. You don't need any of that. Their disrespect was the moment you needed to wake up to see the situation for what it truly is, and to walk away with your dignity intact. Imagine this. You're holding onto a broken rope, and the more you cling to it, the deeper the cuts in your hands. That's what holding on to disrespect feels like. It hurts, it drains you, and it keeps you tied to someone who doesn't deserve your energy. But when you let go, when you decide that their disrespect is the end of the story, you free yourself. You stop waiting for closure from someone who isn't capable of giving it, and you start creating your own. Here's what I want you to remember. Closure isn't something you get from someone else, it's something you give yourself. It's the moment you say, I deserve better, and I refuse to settle for less. When you embrace this mindset, everything changes. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't listen. You stop defending your worth to those who don't value it. And most importantly, you stop allowing disrespect to take up space in your life. Instead, you channel that energy into growth. You focus on your peace, your happiness, and your future. And let me tell you, there's nothing more powerful than someone who chooses themselves over the chaos others bring. Because here's what happens when you let their disrespect be your closure. You rise, you heal, and you move forward with a strength they'll never understand. While they stay stuck in their patterns, you're out there building a life that reflects your worth, a life filled with respect, love, and fulfillment. So the next time someone disrespects you, don't beg for an explanation. Don't wait for an apology. Take it as a sign, a gift even, that it's time to close that chapter and start a new one. Let their actions be the period at the end of the sentence, not a comma that keeps you lingering in uncertainty. You deserve people who uplift you, who see your value, and who treat you with the respect you give so freely. And if someone can't do that, let them go. Because in the end, their disrespect isn't your burden to carry, it's your reason to move on. And in moving on, you reclaim your power, your peace, and your purpose. So let that disrespect be your closure. Walk away with your head held high, knowing you've chosen yourself. And as you move forward, remember this. You are worthy of so much more than they ever gave. Choose to believe it, choose to live it, and never look back. Let me ask you something. Have you ever found yourself stuck in a never-ending cycle of arguments, explanations, and trying to prove your worth to someone who just doesn't get it? It's draining, isn't it? It feels like shouting into a void, hoping for a response that never comes. But here's the truth. You don't need to go back and forth. You don't need to explain yourself one more time. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is leave silently. Silence. It's not weakness. It's not avoidance. It's strength. It's choosing peace over chaos, dignity over drama, and self-respect over the need for validation. Think about it. When you engage in back-and-forth arguments, what are you really achieving? Most of the time, you're just feeding into their ego, giving them the satisfaction of knowing they've got a hold on you. But when you choose silence, you're sending a message that's louder than any words could ever be. You're not worth my energy anymore. Imagine this, you're in a room full of noise, people shouting over each other, trying to be heard, and then one person gets up and walks out. Suddenly, the room feels different. The absence of their presence speaks louder than the noise they left behind. That's the power of leaving silently. When someone disrespects you, when they undervalue you, or when they take you for granted, the instinct is to fight back. to prove your point, to make them see what they're losing. But here's the thing. They already know. They just don't care enough to change. And that's your cue to stop trying. Leaving silently isn't about ignoring your feelings or pretending the hurt doesn't exist. It's about prioritizing your peace over their chaos. It's about recognizing that some battles aren't worth fighting because the cost is too high. Your energy, your happiness, your self-worth. I know it's hard. Walking away without closure, without that final word, feels incomplete. But silence is its own kind of closure. It's the kind that comes from within, the kind that says, I'm done explaining, I'm done trying, I'm done giving my power away. And here's the beautiful part. When you leave silently, you shift the focus back to yourself. You're no longer caught up in their games, their manipulation, or their drama. You're free to heal, to grow, and to build a life that reflects your worth. Think of silence as a blank canvas. It's the space where you can paint a new picture, write a new story, and create a new chapter, one that's not defined by their negativity but by your strength and resilience. So, to anyone out there stuck in a cycle of back and forth, let this be your reminder. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing yourself. You don't need to justify your decision to walk away. Just leave, silently and confidently, knowing that your peace is worth more than their approval. And when you do, you'll realize something incredible. Your silence isn't just an ending, it's a beginning. A beginning of a life where you're no longer weighed down by their toxicity. A life where you can focus on your happiness, your growth, and your dreams. So the next time someone tries to pull you into their chaos, don't engage, don't argue, don't explain, just leave. Walk away with your head held high, knowing that your silence speaks volumes, because at the end of the day, the loudest message you can send is this: I value myself too much to stay where I'm not respected. No back and forth, just leave, and watch how your life transforms when you choose peace over everything else. Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked away from someone and left them wondering what went wrong? Not because you didn't care, but because they didn't? That's the kind of silence I want to talk about today. The silence that speaks louder than words. The silence that becomes their consequence. Here's the thing about disrespect. It's not always loud. Sometimes it's subtle, dismissive comments, broken promises, or the way they made you feel small in moments when you needed support. Other times it's blatant, cutting words, public humiliation, or actions that screamed, "You don't matter." And while you may have tolerated it for a while, hoping they'd change, something inside you eventually snapped. Not out of anger, but out of self-respect. You see, they never thought their disrespect would cost them your presence. They assumed you'd stay, that you'd keep forgiving, keep explaining, keep showing up. They underestimated your strength. But then, one day, you chose silence. Not the kind of silence that begs for attention, but the kind that says, I'm done. You stopped arguing, stopped explaining, stopped fighting for a connection that only you seemed to value. And that silence, it hit them harder than any words ever could. Because here's the truth, people don't expect silence. They expect reactions, anger, tears, maybe even an apology for things you didn't do. But when you give them nothing, when you simply walk away, it forces them to sit with their actions. It leaves them alone with the echoes of their own disrespect, with no one else to blame. Think about it like this. Your silence is a mirror. It reflects everything they tried to ignore, their mistakes, their selfishness, their inability to value someone who gave them so much. And that reflection? It's haunting. At first, they might brush it off, telling themselves they don't need you. But over time, your absence becomes undeniable. They start to notice the void, the lack of your support, your kindness, your presence. They realize too late that the person they disrespected was the same person who stood by them when no one else did. But here's the best part. Your silence isn't just their consequence. It's your liberation. By choosing silence, you're choosing peace. You're choosing to protect your energy, to focus on your growth, and to surround yourself with people who truly value you. You're no longer wasting time trying to prove your worth to someone who never saw it. And that's where the transformation happens. When you let go of the need to explain or justify, you create space for healing. You start to rebuild your confidence, your happiness, and your life on your terms. So, to anyone who's been disrespected and feels the urge to fight back, remember this. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all. Let your silence be your closure. Let it be the statement that says, I know my worth, and I won't settle for less. Because here's the truth, they never knew disrespecting you would cost them your forever silence. They never imagined that their actions would push away someone so valuable, someone they'll miss more than they ever thought possible. But now they know. And while they're left with regret, you're moving forward with strength, clarity, and a newfound sense of self. So let your silence be their lesson and your freedom. Walk away with your head held high, knowing that you deserve better. And as you step into this new chapter, remember, your silence isn't just an absence. It's a declaration of your worth. Embrace it, own it, and never look back. Let me ask you this. How many times have you replayed someone's disrespect in your mind, searching for answers, wondering what you could have done differently? It's exhausting, isn't it? That feeling of betrayal, of being undervalued, it lingers, pulling you into a cycle of overthinking and self-doubt. But today, I want you to hear this loud and clear. That disrespect should be your closure. You don't need a heartfelt apology, a long-winded explanation, or a moment of recognition from them to move on. Their actions, the way they treated you, are all the closure you need. Think about it. When someone disrespects you, they're showing you exactly who they are. It's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their character, and yet so often we stay stuck waiting for something that will never come. A change of heart, a moment of accountability, or even just a shred of remorse. But here's the truth. You don't need any of that. Their disrespect was the moment you needed to wake up to see the situation for what it truly is, and to walk away with your dignity intact. Imagine this. You're holding onto a broken rope, and the more you cling to it, the deeper the cuts in your hands. That's what holding on to disrespect feels like. It hurts, it drains you, and it keeps you tied to someone who doesn't deserve your energy. But when you let go, when you decide that their disrespect is the end of the story, you free yourself. You stop waiting for closure from someone who isn't capable of giving it, and you start creating your own. Here's what I want you to remember. Closure isn't something you get from someone else, it's something you give yourself. It's the moment you say, I deserve better, and I refuse to settle for less. When you embrace this mindset, everything changes. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't listen. You stop defending your worth to those who don't value it. And most importantly, you stop allowing disrespect to take up space in your life. Instead, you channel that energy into growth. You focus on your peace, your happiness, and your future. And let me tell you, there's nothing more powerful than someone who chooses themselves over the chaos others bring. Because here's what happens when you let their disrespect be your closure. You rise, you heal, and you move forward with a strength they'll never understand. While they stay stuck in their patterns, you're out there building a life that reflects your worth. A life filled with respect, love, and fulfillment. So the next time someone disrespects you, don't beg for an explanation. Don't wait for an apology. Take it as a sign, a gift even, that it's time to close that chapter and start a new one. Let their actions be the period at the end of the sentence, not a comma that keeps you lingering in uncertainty. You deserve people who uplift you, who see your value, and who treat you with the respect you give so freely. And if someone can't do that, let them go. Because in the end, their disrespect isn't your burden to carry, it's your reason to move on. And in moving on, you reclaim your power, your peace, and your purpose. So let that disrespect be your closure. Walk away with your head held high, knowing you've chosen yourself. And as you move forward, remember this. You are worthy of so much more than they ever gave. Choose to believe it, choose to live it, and never look back. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with a question. Have you ever walked away from someone or something and realized it was the best decision you ever made? It wasn't easy, was it? But deep down you knew your absence would speak louder than your presence ever could. Today, I want to talk about the power of walking away and how, when you do, they will regret your absence forever. Picture this. You've been giving your all, your time, your energy, your love, to someone who didn't appreciate it. You bent over backwards, stayed up late worrying, and sacrificed your own needs just to make them happy. But no matter how much you gave, it was never enough. They took you for granted, assuming you'd always be there, always giving, always forgiving. But then, one day, something changed. You realized your worth. You saw that staying wasn't strength, it was settling. And with that clarity, you made the decision to walk away. Here's the thing they don't tell you about absence. It's not just the lack of presence. It's the echo of everything you brought to the table. It's the realization that they lost someone who cared, someone who stayed when no one else would, someone who gave them more chances than they deserved. At first they might not notice. They might think they've moved on, that life will go on as usual. But slowly, like the ticking of a clock in an empty room, your absence will start to haunt them. They'll remember the way you always listened when no one else did. They'll miss the comfort of knowing someone truly had their back, and they'll regret all the times they didn't say thank you, all the moments they didn't show up for you the way you showed up for them. You see, your absence is a mirror. It forces them to confront what they lost, not just a person, but a presence. The kind of presence that made their world brighter, calmer, and more meaningful. But here's the most important part. This isn't about revenge. It's not about making them suffer or proving a point. It's about you. Walking away is a declaration of self-respect, a choice to prioritize your own peace and happiness. When you choose yourself, you're sending a powerful message, not just to them, but to the universe. You're saying, I deserve better. I deserve to be valued, respected, and cherished. And when you live in that truth, you attract people and opportunities that align with your worth. So to anyone out there doubting their decision to leave, trust me, they will regret your absence. But more importantly, you will thrive in their absence, because here's the truth, your worth isn't defined by how others treat you. It's defined by how you treat yourself. And when you choose to walk away from disrespect, you're choosing a life filled with love, peace, and possibility. Let them regret. Let them reflect. But don't let it hold you back. Move forward with your head held high, knowing that your absence is not just a loss for them, it's a victory for you. And as you step into this new chapter, remember this: the people who truly value you will never make you question your worth. And those who didn't, they'll spend the rest of their lives regretting the day you walked away. So walk boldly, walk confidently, and never look back, because your absence is the beginning of your greatest transformation. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where someone knew they were hurting you, yet they kept doing it anyway? It's a gut-wrenching realization, isn't it? The pain of betrayal, the sting of disrespect. It cuts deeper when you know it wasn't accidental. Today I want to talk about that pain, but more importantly, I want to talk about the strength it takes to rise above it. You see, when someone knowingly hurts you, it says far more about them than it does about you. It's not a reflection of your worth, it's a reflection of their lack of empathy, their inability to value what's good and pure in their life. But I know that doesn't make it hurt any less. Think back to a time when you gave your all, your love, your trust, your loyalty to someone who didn't deserve it. You stayed up late, replaying their words, questioning what you did wrong. You tried harder, gave more, and bent until you almost broke, hoping they'd see your worth. But instead of appreciation, you got more pain. And here's the hard truth. They knew. They saw the tears you tried to hide, the way your voice trembled when you spoke, the way you hesitated before saying, "It's okay," even when it wasn't. They knew, and still they kept going. Why? Because some people feed off power. They confuse kindness with weakness, thinking they can take advantage of your heart without consequences. But here's the thing. They underestimated you. Yes, they hurt you. Yes, they took more than they gave. But you're still standing. And that's where your power lies. Not in their actions, but in your response. You see, when you decide to stop letting their behavior define you, you reclaim your strength. When you choose to walk away, to set boundaries, to say, enough, you're no longer their victim. You're your own hero. It's not easy. It takes courage to leave behind what's familiar, even when it's toxic. It takes strength to look at someone you once loved and realize they don't deserve a place in your life anymore. But that decision, it's the beginning of your healing. And here's the beautiful part. The pain they cause doesn't define you, it shapes you. It teaches you what you deserve, what you'll no longer tolerate, and how to value yourself. Think of it like a storm. It's dark, it's chaotic, and it feels endless. But storms don't last forever, and when they pass, they leave behind clearer skies, stronger roots, and a brighter horizon. That's you. So to anyone out there holding on to the pain of someone who knew they were hurting you, let it go. Not for them, but for you. Let it go so you can make space for the love, respect, and peace you deserve. Because here's the truth. The people who truly care about you will never knowingly hurt you. And those who did, they'll have to live with the loss of someone who gave them more than they ever deserved. You are stronger than you think, braver than you feel, and more deserving than you've been treated. So, rise above, heal, and move forward knowing this. Their actions may have hurt you, but your response will define you. Choose strength, choose peace, and never forget, you are worth so much more than the pain they caused. Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something. When was the last time someone disrespected you, and instead of reacting, you chose silence? It feels counterintuitive, doesn't it? But there's something incredibly powerful about silence. It's louder than words, sharper than any comeback, and more haunting than any argument. Today, I want to talk about how your silence after being treated poorly is not a sign of weakness, but a profound display of strength. It's not just about walking away, it's about leaving a lasting impact that speaks louder than any words ever could. You see, when someone disrespects you, they expect a reaction. They're ready for the shouting, the arguments, the emotional outbursts. That's their fuel. They thrive on chaos because it validates their behavior. But when you don't give them that satisfaction, when you respond with silence, it flips the script entirely. Imagine this. Someone throws a stone into a calm lake expecting ripples, but instead, the water stays still. No reaction. That's your silence. It's unsettling. It forces them to confront their own actions without the distraction of your anger or frustration. Your silence is not avoidance, it's control. It's the decision to protect your peace, your energy, and your dignity. Think about it. Why waste your time explaining yourself to someone who's already shown they don't value you? Why let their negativity pull you into a space where you don't belong? When you choose silence, you're choosing to rise above. And that's what haunts them. They start replaying their actions, wondering why you didn't react, questioning whether they miscalculated your strength. They expected a fight, but instead they're left alone with their thoughts and their guilt. Here's the truth. Your silence is a mirror. It reflects their insecurities, their flaws, and their lack of character. Without your reaction to distract them, they're forced to sit with the weight of their actions, and that silence, it's deafening. But here's where the magic happens. It's not just about them, it's about you. By choosing silence, you're choosing growth. You're showing yourself that your peace is non-negotiable. You're proving that you don't need validation from someone who doesn't respect you. And in doing so, you reclaim your power. So the next time someone disrespects you, remember this. Your silence is not weakness, it's strength. It's a statement that says, I value myself too much to engage with this. And that strength? It's transformative. As you move forward, let your silence speak volumes. Let it remind them of what they lost. Let it remind you of what you've gained. Peace, self-respect, and the freedom to focus on your growth. Because in the end, your silence isn't just your strength, it's your victory. And that's what truly leaves them haunted. So hold your head high, protect your peace, and let your silence be your power. There's power in silence. You don't owe anyone an explanation for the choices you make, the path you walk, or the dreams you chase. People will always try to question you, doubt your decisions, and ask why you're doing what you're doing. They'll want to know why you've chosen this route, why you're so determined, or why you're moving forward without their approval. But here's the truth. You don't have to explain yourself. When you're walking in your purpose, some people will never understand. They'll ask questions, but they'll never fully comprehend the why behind your actions. And that's okay. You're not living to satisfy their curiosity or to make them comfortable. Your journey is yours, and yours alone. Instead of explaining yourself, let your actions do the talking. Let your success speak louder than words ever could. Every time you try to explain, you give away your power. You waste energy trying to convince people who aren't truly interested in understanding your vision. Why should you break it down for those who don't even have the capacity to appreciate what you're doing? So let them watch in silence. Let them see you thrive. Let them witness your growth and achievements. Your journey doesn't need their approval. The people who truly care about you will respect your decisions without needing an explanation. And those who don't, they'll be left wondering, silently watching as you continue to rise. So don't feel the need to explain yourself. Let your success speak for you. Let them watch in silence, and let your actions say everything they'll ever need to know. There was a time when you were right there, offering everything of value you had. You were gold, reliable, genuine, loving, and worth more than they could ever imagine. But they didn't see it. They took you for granted, walked away, or let you slip through their fingers. Maybe they thought they could do better or that they could find something easier. Maybe they believed there was something else out there that would satisfy them. Whatever the reason, they walked away from gold. Now, look at them. They're chasing dust. They're scrambling for something that doesn't compare to what they had with you. They're pursuing temporary pleasures, shallow distractions, and empty promises, while you, the gold they once rejected, are shining brighter than ever. It's not about revenge. It's not about gloating. It's about understanding your worth. You were never meant to chase after people who couldn't see your value. You were meant for more than that. And now, as you rise and evolve, they're stuck with their choices. They walked away from gold, thinking they could find something better. Now, as they chase after dust, they'll realize that what they had was priceless, and by the time they understand, it will be too late. You know your worth, and as you continue to grow, they'll be left to wonder why they ever let you go. There are people in life who will doubt you, criticize you, or even try to bring you down. They'll question your goals, make fun of your dreams, and scoff at the hard work you put in. They think you're not capable of achieving what you're striving for. They believe their opinions, their judgments have some power over your future. But here's the truth. You don't need to prove anything to them. You don't need to explain your worth or validate your dreams to anyone, because the best way to humble those who doubt you is not through words, but through action. Let your wins speak for themselves. When you achieve what they thought was impossible, when you reach heights they never thought you'd reach, let that be your message. Let that be the moment when they realize they were wrong about you. They don't need to hear you say, "I told you so." They'll see it in your success. They'll see it in your growth. Every accomplishment, every milestone, every victory you achieve will remind them of what they once underestimated. It's not about rubbing it in their faces. It's about the quiet strength of knowing that your success is the greatest response to their doubt. Their egos may have led them to believe they knew better, that they could predict your future, but your wins will make them question their own assumptions. They'll be humbled not by your words, but by the undeniable proof of your progress, your resilience, and your success. As you rise, remember this: you don't have to prove your worth to anyone. You don't need their approval or validation. Your wins are enough. They'll speak volumes without you saying a word. So let them watch as you succeed. Let them watch as you achieve what they once thought was out of reach. And as you do, let your success humble their ego in the most powerful way possible. There comes a point in life when you realize that some people never truly appreciated you. They took your kindness for weakness, your patience for permission, and your presence for granted. You gave them your time, your energy, your loyalty, but instead of valuing you, they treated you like an option, assuming you would always be there.